Georgia, Alabama. Sports Live will be your go-to for all your favorite high school and collegiate games this fall. From the Carver Tigers to the Columbus Blue Devils, the Harris County Tigers and Northside Patriots, the Glenwood Gators and Calvary Christian Knights, the Pacelli Vikings and Brookstone Cougars, to the Smith Station Panthers and Russell County Warriors. From CVCC, Pirates basketball and baseball, and every tournament from here to Macon. We are the #1 destination for anything happening in East Alabama and West Central Georgia. Be sure to like and follow us on YouTube and Facebook, and stay tuned for even more amazing ways we will be bringing Georgia, Alabama Sports Live to you this upcoming season. We can't wait to come see you next. What is up, everyone? You are now watching another edition of the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. We got Thrift, Barringer, Richard Holdridge in the building, and got a lot to talk about, Big Rich. I know you're back off of drill weekend. Glad that you're back in action. You got to do this periodically, man. You know, A job's got to go first, and then the B job comes next. But glad you're back with us. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Thrift. It's great to be back. I'm ready to call some games, do some shows. We've had a lot that has gone on in the world of sports, not only locally here in the Chattahoochee Valley, but, you know, we got football games, and I'm excited to talk about them.
Yeah, I am too, Richard. And we are presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC, Buffalo Rock, Pepsi, Gordy Eye Care, and, of course, Kinetic Credit Union. And, Richard, today's show, we had to change some things up what we initially were going to do in today's show, but we're going to talk about what we just happened this past week in terms of basketball. We're going to do our rankings. So I've already put it on Facebook, but I waited to share it on my personal page to be able to talk about it. And then, of course, we'll end the show with what we got coming up this week. So looking forward to talk about and all that.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, just seeing the games that happened over the week, I mean, we did have to shift to the right. I mean, the ice storms did affect there were no games on Friday. So we were going to call the Hardaway Carver game, but we had CVCC, which I really had fun watching CVCC on Thursday. It was the only game that we broadcasted, and it was the most viewed CVCC game, I believe. I mean, because all the audience was focused on CVCC, and it was just a good way to showcase them. And then what can you say about that Carver-Spencer game? No, there was not an empty seat in that gymnasium. You were talking.
No, absolutely not, man. It was incredible. We'll talk about that game here in just a moment, as I was there on the call with Coach Corey Black here. But let's start off at the beginning of the week last week. Again, we had games on Tuesday. We did our show on Monday night. On Tuesday, we had Stars Mill Harris County. Both girls and boys lost. Pacelli and Calvary face off as GIAA foes, and Pacelli, both boys and girls, dominate and win by 40. The girls won by 30. The boys won by 40 to get their first win in region play. And then Kendrick and Columbus face off, and both Columbus boys and girls got a win there. Richard, on Thursday, we had CVCC. The women's win again. They're undefeated in conference play. They're the #1 team in conference. The boys lost a game in which it was a deciding who's going to be in third place, and they lost that to go now to 2-3 in conference play. On Friday, didn't have any games because of the snowstorm. All of them got moved to Thursday, and we felt like CVCC, as we're partnering with them, bringing all their athletics, Richard, that we should give them a day, which nothing else was on there except for CVCC. And we were glad to do that on Thursday night. That's the reason why we didn't do any of the other high school games that we thought about doing, like Carver Hardaway. That was going to happen if it had happened on Friday night, but because of the weather, we were able to change that. And then on Saturday, as you made mention, We had Carver Spencer Heritage Bowl game. I was there for this. The girls' game, it was packed, but by the time the boys came in, I got so many calls and texts about, hey, can you let me in? Hey, can you say I'm part of the broadcast team? It was a line of about 100 people. The cars were lined up right down the street, wrapped around the building, trying to get in, standing room only. I expected nothing else other than that heading into this. It was actually Coach Black's first time being involved with a Carver Spencer, any type of sporting event. I don't care what it is. If it's Carver and it's Spencer, it's moving the needle. And you know Georgia Alabama Sports Live is going to be there. For them to have that kind of showing and the CD to come out and that type of weather too was fantastic. And how about the Carver Lady Tigers and the Tigers? Lady Tigers able to overcome several turnovers in that first half to end up winning by 10 points over the Lady Greenways and a win for battle of third place. And now they're in sole possession of third place behind Sumter County's undefeated and Hardaway. And then we had the boys. It was 10-9, Richard. Spencer had the lead in the first quarter. That was the last time they had a lead. And it was about 4 minutes to go. Spencer ended up getting down by as many as 50 points. It was a thorough, dominated game that I have seen this year. It was one of the more impressive wins that I've seen this year because Spencer's good. Kerry Griffin, DeMarcus Horn, Josh Sheldon, Isaiah Brownlee, Jacoby Knight. They got talent. They got shot blockers. They're athletic. They're fast, just like Carver. But then Carver can just take it to another gear. And you were watching that, Richard, from the outside perspective. But being in that gymnasium and the dunk fest that kept happening for Carver, I don't see that slowing down, and I honestly think that's how it's going to be the rest of the way in the rest of the season. And they're showing why Sandy Spill has them as a number one ranked team in 2A.
Yeah, there's no question about it that Carver's playing on another level. Playing a very good Spencer team, which I've had the opportunity to call several games on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. They had that incredible comeback against Sumter County, and they had a chance to win that game. I saw them end up beating I'm trying to think. I saw them beating Brookstone. I saw them in Sumter County. They did beat Shaw. They did beat Kendrick. They had a lot of confidence going into this game. But you talk about a deep Carver team led by Tony Montgomery. He had 16 points. You had Tristan Givens, who pitched in with 12 points. He's getting back to basketball form, coming back from football, winning a state championship. Same with Jacoby Caslin. He pitched in with 10 points. But how about the dominant performance from Tobias Tolbert with 10 rebounds and 7 blocks? I know you on the call, like every time Tobias Tolbert got a block, it was a huge block. And right now, even though I think that game next week between Sumter County and Carver is going to be very intriguing, I don't think anybody is touching Carver in this region. I think that Carver is going to have a clear path to getting an area championship, a number one seed, and they look to be the favorites in 2A. I just don't see anybody matching up well with Carver. And I know you mentioned on the broadcast, have we ever seen a football championship and a basketball championship in the same school year? We might have the first.
Yeah, we've seen baseball and football, but we have not seen basketball and football in consecutive. And we almost had it with Pacelli. The 2022 football team won it, and the 2022-2023 basketball team were state runners-up.
Right.
But I don't think we've ever had it in which the football and basketball both win it in the same year. And we're hoping that's going to happen. And right now they're the prohibited favorite, and they had a dominant week. They dominated Hardaway. They dominated Spencer, and they looked like the best team. And they got a big one coming up against Sumter County. We'll talk about them and more when we do our basketball rankings here in just a little bit on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show. I did want to make mention of the news that I shared today on Facebook. Sports Visions Radio is now turning in, Sports Vision Radio Show is now turning into a 24/7 sports radio station that this city and this area has been craving and dying for and needing. It starts launching this Wednesday. It is going to be Sports Visions. We're moving now from, I know many people have asked, where's Sports Visions? Where's Sports Visions? We haven't seen you the last couple of weeks. Usually you take a couple of weeks off and you're back after the new year. We haven't done it because we've been keeping this close to the vest to make sure we get everything right before we launch it. And DJ had a great interview with Chuck Williams on WRBL. And Richard, you're going to be a part of this venture. and looking forward to talking with DJ. We're going to do a special edition interview, Georgia Alabama Sports Live, Sports Vision's collaboration show tomorrow night to kind of talk about this endeavor with DJ and talk about the launch. But I already put it out on Facebook Wednesday and moving forward every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 92.1. Sports Vision's 92.1 FM is where you'll be able to hear us. And then we got a lineup of Dan Patrick from 9 to 12, Colin Cowherd from 12 to 3, and then Paul Feinbaum from 3 to 7. So incredible lineup. We kick you off every morning, and looking forward to that, Richard. That won't stop us from what we do here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. It's only going to help us enhance it as we look forward to partnering with Sports Visions and doing many things and bringing, because we're doing all the games at night. We're streaming them. And guess what? We get to rehash them on the Sports Visions morning show from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. So I'm looking forward to that, Richard. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait for Wednesday. And then we'll still have our Georgia Alabama Sports Live shows on Sundays and Wednesday nights at 8:30. So excited about that, Richard, and I know you're excited about it too.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited to be a part of Sports Visions. And for the first time since March of 2020, we finally have local sports talk radio 5 days a week. And I got to go back in the history because I can really go back to the press box with Bobby Z and friends back in maybe the early 2010s. But has there ever been a local sports talk show in Columbus that was in the mornings?
I don't know. I know that DJ had one with Mike V, and that was a huge show in the late 90s, early 2000s. I don't know if that was morning. We'll have to ask him when we talk about that tomorrow. So tomorrow night, special edition show, Georgia Alabama Sports Live, Sports Vision. We'll be promoting on both. We'll be live on both Facebook pages, and we're going to talk about this coming up on Wednesday. It's going to be a lot of fun. DJ Jones, who is a staple in this community, who has opened so many doors for all of us in the media outlet, myself, you, Jack Patterson, Tony Reese, RBL TVM, and now he's taking the game to a whole nother level. I'm just glad I'm a part of this opportunity and looking forward to doing this. And now between Georgia Alabama Sports Live giving you live coverage of the games, and now you get live reaction, not only with our show, but Sports Visions every day, 5 days a week from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on radio. We'll bring you the night. DJ brings and Sports Visions with me bring you in the morning. So you're getting it all the time. There is no excuse. Anybody's not going to be able to say, hey, why don't you cover this? Why don't you cover that? You're getting tons of coverage. There's no more excuse anymore. We're providing it, and we're looking forward to that. And I can't wait to talk to DJ on Wednesday, tomorrow, about this launching Wednesday morning, 6 a.m. this Wednesday on Sports Vision's 92.1 FM.
Yeah, and my morning drive into work has just gotten a little bit more interesting. I'm going to be tuning in to 92.1. I'm already listening to Fox Sports Radio. I mean, they're playing Two Pros and a Cup of Joe. Your show with DJ is going to replace that 6 to 9, and then we got Colin Cowherd, or we got Dan Patrick, then Colin Cowherd. That's just an incredible lineup. I'm glad that we're a part of Fox Sports 1. I've always been a Fox Sports Radio. I've always been a fan of Fox Sports. And that we have local sports talk show 5 days a week. And you and DJ are going 3 hours a day. That is awesome because there's so much. I kind of feel like when you guys had your 2-hour show, I felt like it wasn't enough time to get all the sports stories in. You guys could easily go 3 hours. Just the talk, you and going back and forth with you and DJ, there is so much sports to talk about. And I know you guys are going to do a fantastic job. I'm glad to be a part of it. I know that all the regular guests, I'm guessing they're all coming back, like Stephen M. Smith.
All this will be all this will be discussed tomorrow when we do our interview.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I was huge fan of Sports Visions in the afternoon. I'm excited that Sports Visions is going to be in the mornings.
Yeah, so it should be great, and looking forward to that. And we'll have that again on. Tomorrow we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the rest of what we got coming up this week. And when we come back from break, we're going to talk about those rankings and more on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show. You're watching right now the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show that is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile. We'll be right back after this.
I'm always on the go. But with the Kinetic Credit Union app, Kinetic is always with me. The Kinetic mobile app is virtual banking at its best. With the Kinetic mobile app, I can easily send and receive money, make a deposit, pay some bills, and I can even open up a new account, all from my phone. And I can monitor all my accounts in one place, all on the go. The Kinetic mobile app, energized banking at its best.
Kinetic Credit Union, the energy for your dreams.
Hi, my name is Griff Gordy, and here at Gordy Eye Care, we have been serving the Bi-City community for 17 years. As a former state championship quarterback, I love the fact that I can watch local high school athletics from the comfort of my own home. So it was a no-brainer to support Georgia-Alabama Sports Live and what they do for young athletes in our area.
And without business like yourself, Gordy Eye Care, none of our coverage would be possible. To be able to cover the 16 different high schools, the local colleges, and professional teams. So we'd like to say thank you to you, Dr. Griff Gordy and Gordy Eye Care, for your support of Georgia-Alabama Sports Live. And you can make an appointment today at Gordy Eye Care with the number 334-291-5125. Keep supporting Gordy Eye Care and keep watching Georgia-Alabama Sports Live. Welcome back, everyone, to the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live show here on Georgia-Alabama Sports Live. Make sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, Richard, so we have our rankings we're going to be doing here in just a moment. We haven't done them in a minute, and I know it's bound to ruffle some feathers, but that's why we do what we do. We come up with our rankings, base them off of the chance to win state in your league, your overall record, strength of schedule, your roster compared to everyone else. And then we put in head-to-head, too. So we got a bunch of things in our criteria about how we rank these. We promise we don't just randomly throw up teams. We actually put some thought into it. And let's go ahead and throw that up there now. It is time for our Georgia-Alabama Sports Live rankings. And here they are. We'll start with the girls. The Shaw Raiders, Lady Raiders, who haven't replaced, Tierra Tucker, put up 25 a game last year. They were a team that made the playoffs. They were well coached under Coach Curtis Crowell and under Coach Charlie Marquand. And now they're 5-10. They did get a win over Columbus. They just lost to Hardaway. They're young. They still got, talent that they're trying to improve to maybe get better for next year. But they're a team that is competitive, and I wanted to put them in the top 10. You could have said them or Columbus, but with a head-to-head win over Columbus recently, I thought I'd give them the nod, and they come in at number 10 with the Lady Raiders. Number 9, the Smith Station Lady Panthers, who just lost to Central, another team that's been playing really well this year. They're several games above 500, and they are looking to get over the 15-win plateau this year. So they come in at number 9. And number 8, Glenwood. This team's actually starting to play really good basketball right now, Richard, and they're the second-best team in their area. And they play Lee Scott on Friday, basically for an area championship. They play Beulah tomorrow or Tuesday. They got Lee Scott on Friday. You'll be there for that one. You talk about Smithster Carver kind of started off rivalry week, all right, because we got rivalries on Friday. You're going to want to tune in for that. But the Lady Gators, they've actually been playing really good basketball right now. After losing Haley Palmore, they had to find someone that was going to facilitate the offense. And seeing them being able to do that without her, Mimi Johnson's played good, Bobby Taylor, Brazil, they come in at number 8, and I can see them moving up even higher if they keep winning and even win an area championship in the first year in the AHSAA.
I agree with these rankings so far, Thrift. Glenwood, winners of 6 straight. They got a big game. Well, they got to play Beulah first on Tuesday. They're taking on their big-time rival, Lee Scott, which is much improved with Clark Yvette, who's just an outstanding guard. Mimi Johnson's really carried the torch when Haley Palmore went down with that injury. Lily Moody, the freshman coming off the bench. I mean, she's made some contributions to the team, and I'm excited where Glenwood could go in this area. As far as Smith Station, they did get a win over Opelika, but they are in a region with Central and Auburn, which it looks like they're going to make the playoffs, but still a 10-5 record. Smith Station, they've had a good season so far. I think I like what they have done. And they are led by their leading scorer, Malaya Crowell, averages 12 points a game. Shemaya Oliver is also averaging 10 points a game. They are senior-led. Chantel Barnes. I mean, Smith Station's got just experience. And as far as Shaw, I agree with Shaw being here rather than Columbus or Brookstone because Shaw has the head-to-head with Columbus. They got the head-to-head with Calvary. And Calvary has beaten Brookstone, and Columbus has beaten Brookstone. So, yep. I mean, it's tough to try to rank a team. They're 5-10, but they have lost to Hardaway. They will play Shaw next Monday. They did lose to Spencer, but they did beat Columbus, and that's why we have them here at number 10.
And I will say, too, with the Glenwood Gators, they're 11-6 right now. And if you look at their schedule so far, they are on a 6-game winning streak. Since losing to Pigeon Forge in that tournament, they have not lost a game, in 2025. They have actually dominated everyone they played. And they come in 11-6. And if they beat Beulah, they'll go to 2-0, which they should at home in area play. And they'll play Lee Scott, who's also undefeated in area play. So, Richard, that one between the boys and the girls living up to a normal Glenwood-Lee Scott rivalry, does it not?
Oh, that the Glenwood-Lee Scott rivalry lives up to the hype. I'm looking forward to being a part of it. We were a part of all 5 games last year when Glenwood played Lee Scott on the girls, and the boys played Lee Scott 3 times last year, and it's always fun. We plan on making the trip up to Lee Scott. The Lee Scott fans are going to come down, and they are going to make that trip to the pit Friday night. Oh, man, I'm telling you, it is going to be rivalry week of all rivalry weeks, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, exactly right, Richard. So 11-6 is the Glenwood Gators. Moving on, we got the Northside Lady Patriots led by Coach Jarquella Woods, and Coach Woods' team is another team competitive, but playing a tough region. Stars Mills is good. They just beat Harris County. We know how good Harris County is with Janiyah Broom. It's going to be tough to be able to make the playoffs in there. Remember, the top 4 seeds, I still think that they have every bit the opportunity in front of them. And you're a big fan of Coach Jarquella Woods, who's been on our program several times this year. And looking at the Lady Patriots, they're 9-4, 1-2 in region though, 9-4 on the season. They just lost to Central of Tarleton on the road, but they beat Monday's Mill. Their other loss is Griffin. So Griffin's good, Harris County's good, Central of Carrollton's good. And then Stars Mill plus Harris County. Only 4 of those 5 teams are going to make the playoffs. They got Jonesboro coming up at home, Stars Mill at home, and Griffin at home, then Harris County. So they got 4 straight home games, but they come in at 9-4, and they're number 7. The team I think that has been the most impressive and most improved team is the Russell County Lady Warriors, led by Mackenzie Ward and Coach Ricky Jones. 9-8, 1-1 in the area. They just beat Rehoboth. They lost to Pike Road by 7. They beat Chattahoochee County. They beat Northside. They beat Columbus. They've also beaten Opelika this year twice. They've beaten Shaw, lost to Shaw. They got Park Crossing coming up. They just played Park Crossing, and won that game. They had the game against Auburn rescheduled. So they're 10-8 now on the season, Richard. So they come in at number 6. I think that they're going to be a team that makes the playoffs this year between them and Pike Road in their area. And then number 5, the Carver Tigers. The Lady Tigers came in 3-7 for that Spencer game. They have played a tough schedule, and they needed that win. And seeing girls like Trinity Walker, Caden Cooper, and then the young talent. He played 9 guys, Coach Huntley, 9 girls, and a lot of them freshmen and sophomore. So you better get them now, because in the next couple of years, Carver's going to be back to being one of the top teams in the state. They come in at number 5. They beat Spencer. They're in sole possession of 3rd place. They still got Sumter County. If they beat them, it's between Carver and Hardaway for this region, which many people thought it was going to be. So Northside number 7, Russell County number 6, and Carver number 5.
Yeah, we got Russell County playing Northside in a couple of weeks. That could determine who would be ranked higher. I agree. Carver right now, they have got a big region game next week against Sumter County. Justine Scott, who is one of the best players in this area, going up against a young team like you mentioned, Thrift. KK Cooper had a huge game against Spencer. And the Carver Lady Tigers, the reason why they're 4-7 is because of the record they played. Russell County, I mean, they did beat Park Crossing. They got Pike Road, Rehoboth. Those are the teams in their area that they got to worry about. They're going to play Northside in a couple of weeks. And then as for Northside, they do play Jonesboro tomorrow, but they have got to get some wins. If they can find a way to beat Central Carrollton, Stars Mill, maybe they could sneak in and get that playoff spot, because they are in a tough region.
Yes, they are, Richard, and they beat Spencer. So right now they're in sole possession of third place. They got Sumter County, who plays host Hardaway on Tuesday. So that's a battle of undefeateds girl-wise. Now, Sumter County boys are undefeated. Hardaway boys are not, but Hardaway boys got another big win. They're 5-11. They're starting to play well in region play. All right, number 4 is the Harris County Lady Tigers. Richard, Harris County struggling as of lately. I don't know if you've seen them, but they've had a tough schedule. They play in an incredibly tough region too. And this year playing with Griffin, who's playing the state championship. We know about Stars Mill. Harris County is 9-5. They have won 4 of their last 5 after losing 3 of 5 during a stretch. But they beat Rockdale, beat Griffin, blew them out. Lost to Stars Mill by 6 in a game they probably should have won. Dominated Monday's Mill and then just beat Manchester by 38. They're 9-5. They are 3-1 in the region play right now. I'm looking at the region. I think the team that probably is going to give them the most trouble is Stars Mill. Jonesboro comes in 4-4. They're 1-3 in the region. I think Harris County is still going to be either 1 or 2. In my opinion, they're still the top 2 teams in this region. They're still going to make the playoffs. They've had some bumps in the road, but I still feel like in the end, Coach Stephanie Ramsey Dunn's going to have this team right where she wants them heading into the playoffs. And then getting these last 2 wins to go to 3-1 now in the region was huge.
And remember, Harris County went from 5A to 4A. They went to the quarterfinals last year in 5A. Still a lot of talented 4A teams. You mentioned Stars Mill. That was a team that they felt like they should have won that game. They do take on Central Carroll. That's going to be this Tuesday on the road against Jonesboro. But we'll end up seeing them, at home taking on Griffin. Remember, they won the state championship for 4A 2 years ago. And, of course, that Northside rivalry is always going to be huge. I think that Harris County just has got to just find their rhythm. And not only will they make the playoffs, hopefully they can win this region and host a couple of playoff games. But I think that the sky's the limit for Harris County, especially if this team just continues to play together.
Number 3 is Hardaway. They got 5 losses. Langston Hughes, North Paulding, Carrollton, Holy Innocents, it's Episcopal, and then St. Anne Pacelli in the Christmas tournament. They have dominated every team since then. Jordan, Carver, Shaw. They got Sumter County, which is pretty much a battle of first place in the region on Tuesday at Sumter County. And then they play in a MLK showcase held at Chapel Hill High School in Douglasville. They take on Hoover, who I don't know if you know that the Hoover girls team is 21-2, ranked number 1 in 7A right now, just like the boys who are undefeated. And then they take on Marietta, who is also another top school in 6A, 9-7, or 5A, excuse me, out of Atlanta. So that's their next games. And then their next time they play in Columbus will be against Spencer Tuesday the 21st. But getting these 3 wins, they're undefeated in region play, 5-0. I think Hardaway in this Sumter County, I'm going to be honest, I'm leaning Hardaway. I think the Lady Hawks show why they should be a top 3 team in 2A. I think they take it to Sumter County. You've seen their Sumter County girls. They're 7-5, 2-0 though in region play. Give me Hardaway with a win. And if they keep winning, they'll keep moving up in our rankings. Number 2 is the Pacelli Lady Vikings, led by Bryant Thomas. They're 8-2, 1-0 in region play. Their 2 losses are to Central, and they lost to Jackson. They also got a win over Hardaway, East Coweta, Heritage, Griffin. They come in 8-2. They got Westfield on the road this week, Brookstone, and then Landmark Christian on Saturday. Pacelli looks like every bit the team that can repeat. And, of course, the number 1 team in our rankings, Richard, is the Central Lady Red Devils, 15-4. I think what Coach Rogetta Williams has done with this program has been unbelievable. Huge fan of ours. We're a fan of hers. They did lose to Auburn. Also lost to Carrollton, Bob Jones, and then Lowndes at the beginning of the season. That Auburn game and that Auburn girls team, who was 17-5, that's going to be tough. But just because they lost to an Auburn team does not mean they're not the number 1 team in our rankings. They beat Pacelli. I'm going to keep them number 1. They got Smith Station and at Auburn. They just beat Smith Station, so they're 16-4. They got at Auburn this Friday. Can't wait to see that one. If they get a win at Auburn, you're talking maybe Central trying to get boys and girls into the state championship game. You're muted, Richard. Richard, you're muted.
Team that they
Richard, actually, no one is hearing you right now. I don't know what's going on, but you're actually muted. I don't know what's happening. Maybe you can unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. We could not hear you on there, so go ahead.
Okay. I was actually saying that Jabria Lindsay averages 24 points a game. I think that the reason why Central's here is because it's not just Jabria. She's also got some teammates that are getting involved. Madison Fuller, the sophomore, averaging 7.4 points a game. Garrett Griggs, who's averaging 6.5 points a game. And then, Pacelli's got a lot of depth. I mean, they had their entire team that came back from last year that won the state championship, led by Michaela Hosley. And then Hardaway got Michaela Johnson, A.K. Shelton, Rihanna Boynton, Janiah Hardy. There's so much depth, but you also have talent. And I'm telling you, Jabria Lindsay, like I was saying before, that I think this is the best player we've had in our area since possibly Kalia Lawrence back in 2014 with Kendrick, who averaged 27 points a game, would go on to play at Mercer, and then she would go on to get drafted in the WNBA.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think that she is going to be playing in the WNBA one day. All right, let's move on, and let's talk about the boys' rankings. Number 10, Kendrick. They were up to number 6, but they had a tough week this past week, Richard. You were there for that when they lost to Columbus, and then they just lost to Spencer on Thursday night. That puts them now at 11-3 on the season. Still a lot of basketball left to be played. Still have an opportunity to be able to make the playoffs. Still 2-2 in the region. So I'm not saying they're out of it right now, but then losing by 18 to Spencer, losing by 10 to Columbus. They got at Sumter County. That was supposed to be Friday. I don't know if that game got played. I don't think it did. It may have gotten rescheduled.
It did not. It did not get played.
So it got rescheduled, but they play Shaw, which is a big one. Then they got Carver the next week. So we'll see what happens with Spencer, but they're going to have to start winning some of these games, like at Hardaway, at Jordan, Columbus at home, Shaw. They had Spencer at home and lost by 18. If Kendrick can go about 500, maybe two games above 500 in region play with all the wins they had non-region, I still think they're going to make the playoffs this year. Smith Station comes in. They're 10-8. Coach Armand Ingersoll has got a very competitive group. They got beat by 31 against Central, but then when they play them at Smith Station, I think this is going to be a little bit more competitive of a game in a hostile environment. We'll be there for that coming up January the 24th. But Coach Ingersoll's got a good competitive group. Don't know if they'll make the playoffs because of how tough of the region they're in right now. Only 2 teams from each area make it, and they got an area that's got Auburn, Opelika, and also Central. So good luck making it out of that group. Does not mean this team is not a really good basketball team. I think Calvary may be one of the more improved teams since the New Year break. And can I tell you why, Richard? It's the addition of Dylan Austin. It's funny, when you add a guy that's 6 foot, about 8, 6'9", that can put the ball on the floor, dunk, block shots, really just an overall playmaker. It's funny what he can do to a team. Kind of elevates him a little bit. I don't know if he's played the whole season, if they're undefeated. I'm not saying that. I still think they'll have several losses, but I also don't think their record would be 8-9, which is what it is right now. But the biggest thing is they're 2-1 in region play. They dominated Strong Rock on the road, which was a big win. Dominated Westfield, just beat Wiregrass. They lost Pacelli pretty handily. Pacelli's another animal. It doesn't mean that this team isn't good. They've won 4 of their last 5, Coach Jonathan Gordon's team. They got Brookstone will be there for at home on Tuesday. That's a big one, Rich. Could really decide how them moving up in the standings. Then they got Chambers at home on Thursday. And then they play Notre Dame Academy in the Corey Black Showcase next Monday on MLK Day. But Calvary moving up in our rankings, and if they keep winning, they'll keep moving up, coming in number 8.
Yeah, you mentioned they got a huge game against Brookstone. That is going to be at Calvary. That's going to be the right for second place because both Brookstone and Calvary has beaten Westfield School and Strong Rock Christian. And right now, I think that Calvary is playing the best basketball. Coach Jonathan Gordon said something on his social media. When healthy, Calvary is 7-1 when they got all their players. Dylan Hostin, he's only played 9 games, but I mean, he is a guy, if you are a fantasy basketball guy, I mean, he'd be the type of person you'd want on your fantasy basketball team. He's averaging 14 points a game, 6 rebounds. He's got 2 steals. He's leading the team in block shots. I mean, he's just a stat sheet, but really, I got to see what his plus minus is. I know we don't look at plus minus as a stat, but it seemed like every time he was on the floor on the defensive side, and he's just instant offense. And then, the offense runs through TJ Benson. Players are going to stop doubling him because, he's going to get his teammates involved. You got Shaudell Irvin who can hit the J on the outside. Liam Holcutt, another post player right there for Dylan Hostin, and Sebastian Hurd. I mean, what can you say? Coach Jonathan Gordon saw that this guy can play. He's only an 8th grader, and he's playing big-time minutes for Calvary.
Looking at Russell County coming in at number 7, 13-4, it's Coach Battle's team. It's every year this team is a well-coached basketball team that's going to be vying for area supremacy in the area they're in. They're undefeated in area play, 13-4. Leading scorer, Josh Battle. Also got Kingston Henry, TJ Mackey. This team is on a 3-game winning streak with wins over Noonan, Pike Road, and Rehoboth. They got Park Crossing that they won, and then they got the Auburn game that got rescheduled for January 27th. We'll be there for that Monday, January 27th. This week they got at Valley and then Eufaula, both games they won earlier in the year. I think this team gets over 20 wins this year, Richard, and I think they win the area and may not lose an area game. And I also think this team could make a decent playoff run too. They come in at number 7. Number 6, I think the biggest kind of charge, the biggest drop was Kendrick. The biggest charge, Richard, be the Brookstone Cougars. How about Brookstone recently under Coach Carl Ivey getting some big-time wins as of recently to get them back to where we thought they would be heading into this year. I thought this was going to be a really competitive team that could make a Final Four run. They got off to a 4-7 start, which was not ideal. But since that 4-7 start, they have won 6 straight and got to 10-7. They've beaten Sly County, Strong Rock, Westfield, Lamar County, Loganville, and, of course, George Walton. I think this team has Calvary, Pacelli, and Westfield these next couple weeks. We're going to learn about them. If they can get wins over 2 of the 3 of those, lose at Pacelli, beat Calvary, beat Westfield, Brookstone will be the number 2 team in the region, and Brookstone looks like to be the team that could maybe play Pacelli in that state championship. That Brookstone Calvary game on Tuesday is gonna tell a lot, and I can't wait to do that. Should be exciting. And then number 5, I almost want to put them in the top 4, but I didn't. It's the Glenwood Gators. 14-5 is Coach Dusty Purdue's team. Their only loss as of recently was to Chattahoochee County. They have won 7 of their last 8 of their last 10. They've beaten Wadley. They beat New Methodist. They beat Pike Liberal Arts and then just beat Beulah. They got Beulah again on Tuesday, and then it's the game, Richard. I think it's the game that everyone has circled if you're a Gator fan or if you're a Lee Scott Warrior fan. 17-3 Lee Scott, undefeated in region play. 14-5 Glenwood, undefeated in area play. It is going to be the team who's going to be number 1 in the area, and the team that's going to be number 2 will be decided. Remember, they play each other twice. We'll get them both times on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. But Coach Dusty Purdue's team with Alexander, with Swag, with Mason McCrane, Tyler Sykes. I like this team a lot. I think this team's Levi Pender is going to be a team that's going to make a deep run, and they're still in our top 5 and maybe even move up to top 4 if they beat Lee Scott this Friday.
Again, you have another coach that's willing to play an 8th grader in Braylon Alexander, who's really come on strong as of late. But that matchup against Lee Scott, you got Swag going up against Hayden Harper. Sign me up for that. I'm excited I get to be on the call for that. And really, this is rivalry week. I'm excited because it's rivalry week. But we also have Brookstone and Calvary, which is a rivalry as well. I know that Brookstone's playing Pacelli on Friday, but I'm really excited about this. Brookstone, like you said, they're holding up the charge. They are 10-7, 2-0 in region play with wins over Strong Rock and Westfield School. Russell County, I kind of feel like Russell County is going to win this area and make the playoffs. They went to the second round last year. And then Glenwood, I think that, Beulah's a good team. I wouldn't underestimate Beulah. They did get a win on the road against Beulah, but Beulah has a winning record. That could be a very interesting game on Tuesday. And then, of course, Glenwood facing Lee Scott, and that could be for the area championship. I mean, even though it's, the area champion, that could end up holding the tiebreaker. But remember, they play Lee Scott another time on the 27th up in Auburn.
All right, number 4 is the Spencer Greenways, who came in 10-3 when the season before Carver. Took one off the chin. They lost to Sumter. They're right now in 3rd place in the region. I still think Spencer, this is a tough region they're in. I still think Spencer, if they make the playoffs, and they're going to get close maybe to 20 wins or around there, I still think this team has everything it takes to get a couple wins in the playoffs. I'm not ready to drop them just because they lost to a really good. I mean, I think that was more about Carver than it was about Spencer. So they're going to stay at number 4 and coming in 10-4. They got a busy week coming up, Richard, as their leading scorer, Kerry Griffin, who was kind of held at bay in this region matchup is against Carver. They got at Columbus on Tuesday, and then at Sumter County on Saturday. So big games. They can get that win against Columbus. And if they can go on the road and upset Sumter County, they're right back in at number 2 in the region.
Yeah, and they do play Westlake in the MLK Showcase. And they'll have Hardaway next Tuesday. We'll find out a lot about this Spencer team. We know that Coach Allen's team is always tough. They always have a lot of grit. I love the shooting from Kerry Griffin. Joshua Selden and DeMarcus Horn have been great post players. But, Spencer lost a lot from their team last year. Keyshawn Sampton, Gary Gaither, Joe Dozier, a lot of experience. Some players that were on that state championship team from 2022. But I do think that Spencer still feels that they are the second team in this region, and they can prove it with a win over Sumter County this Friday.
Exactly right. So we'll see how they're going to bounce back after taking one off the chin against, and a lot of people take one off the chin, Richard, against the Pacelli. I mean, not Pacelli Vikings, but Pacelli Vikings too, but mainly against the Carver Tigers. All right, let's talk about the Pacelli Vikings, who are tied with Carver. We had to tie them right now because Carver's got 2 losses since last time we talked. They lost to Sandy Creek at the Lemon Tree Classic by 12, who's ranked top 3 in the 3A classification. And then they lost to New Manchester, who's ranked in the top 10 of 5A classification. And they lost by 1. Those are not bad losses at all. Those actually, if you can say a good loss, that's a good loss. But Pacelli's undefeated, Rich, and they beat Dothan, a 7A public school who's ranked in the top 3 coming into that, to win that by 4, dominate Calvary. They didn't play Hanley. That game got rescheduled this past week. But they got Westfield on the road on Tuesday, and then at Brookstone on Friday, and Grovetown, who's a really good basketball team, Richard, in the GHSA. They played them in the MLK Showcase out of Grovetown, Georgia. But Pacelli, I'm looking at their schedule. They may be one of our first undefeated teams since those Kendrick girls programs back in the day. I don't remember last time we had a boys program that went undefeated. We've had boys programs at one state. Jordan won it back in 06, 07. We had Carver play for it in 07, 08. We've had other teams like Glenwood's lost only 1 game in 06, 07. Pacelli, they were dominant last year. We've been multiple state championship winning teams, but I don't think we've ever had an undefeated team. Pacelli could do that this year. And I'm looking at their schedule and looking at the GIAA. They're by far the favorite. I think if they lose, it's because they kind of beat themselves. I don't think anyone can beat them if they're playing their A game. So they're number 2. Carver's number 2. They bounced back big after losing to New Manchester before the new year. They have dominated. They've been the running clock boys. They've dominated Hardaway, and they just dominated Spencer. That Sumter County game, I circled that one because both are in the top 10. They're the only 2 teams in the top 10 of the Sandy Spill rankings. They have Sumter County number, I think, 9 or 8. Carver's number 1. That's going to be at Carver on Friday. Cannot wait for that. They're number 2. And the number 1 team is the Central Red Devils. They beat Auburn. They dominated Smith Station. And I think this year could be the year they take down undefeated Hoover. Hoover is big, but they're not as skilled and don't have near the guard or wing play that Central has. Central's number 1 until they get proven otherwise, and they're probably going to stay number 1 until the end of the year. And if Carver wins state or Pacelli, then we may have to reconfigure the rankings. But right now, Central deserves to be that number 1 spot.
Yeah, it's Central will play Auburn at Auburn. Opelika, who's really good. I mean, Smith Station. We'll have that on Georgia Alabama Sports Live on the 24th. Carver Montgomery, who's now in 7A. They went a deep run in the playoffs in 6A last year. And then they also played Thompson. I'm guessing that Thompson's pretty good at basketball, too. They're a pretty good football team. Central is doing really well because of the addition of Jaden Ford and Andrew Alford. I mean, you got the 3-point shooting of Andrew Alford. You got your 2 players, Jacoby Hill, Bryce Dawson. You got depth. Coach Burkett's got depth on that Central team. I agree with Carver and Pacelli being tied. I mean, why can't these – I would want to see these 2 schools play each other. Carver, their favorite to win a championship. Pacelli's favorite to win a championship. Pacelli is just got depth. Jalen Bush averaging 15 points a game. You got Makai Williams, Matthew Melvin also in double figures, Michael Rowe. I mean, they do have some senior leaders on that team, but they also have some young players like Michael Rowe. Makai Williams and Matthew Melvin are only juniors. So, yeah, I'm really cool with this list. It's tough when you're making a list like this, but we know who the teams are on top because they can win a state championship and the teams that could possibly get in the playoffs as well in this ranking.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Here's our rankings. Make sure to like them and share them. We put them on Facebook. They're on our Instagram. By the way, we have a new Instagram handle. Make sure to go to follow our new Instagram page. And we appreciate everyone out there. Just put in Georgia Alabama Sports Live. That is Georgia Alabama Sports Live. You can like us on TikTok, Instagram, and, of course, Twitter. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what we got coming up this week, preview some of the games, and we're going to get out of here. No unsolicited hot take. We're going to save that for Wednesday edition of the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. We're going to take a quick break. Let our sponsors tell you what they have to offer the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. You're watching right now the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show that is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile. We'll be right back after this.
Are you looking for a great deal on a powerful new Chevrolet or GMC full-size truck? Check them out. Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierras side by side at Glenn Smith in Opelika, Alabama. Take your choice. A brand new 2024 Chevrolet and GMC 1500 trucks, discounted up to $15,000 off, or 0% financing. Plus, no payments till springtime. Here at Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC in Opelika, get ready to smile.
Georgia Alabama Sports Live wants to say thank you to one of our presenting sponsors, Buffalo Rock, and their partnership with everything that we do. And without business like Buffalo Rock, we wouldn't be able to go cover softball, volleyball games, every type of high school sport you can think of, local college games, and professional. So thank you to those businesses that support us, and specifically Buffalo Rock. And next time you're watching a Georgia Alabama Sports Live broadcast after a nice long day, why not enjoy it with a nice, refreshing Sorry? The best lemon lime soda around. Thank you to Sorry and Buffalo Rock for our partnership on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. If you say that the Pacelli may go undefeated, Carver may have the deepest team and the most dominant team, and then Central has had the toughest schedule and the best schedule so far. So those are our 3 dominant teams, and Tony Montgomery who has just been putting on a show, but the team is so loaded, so deep are the Carver Tigers. Same with Central with Jacoby Hill and Bryce Dawson and Jaden Ford. And what can you say about Jalen Bush, Makai Williams, Michael Rowe, Matthew Melvin? I mean, I'd love to see these teams in like a 3-team tournament, Richard, and let them duke it out and battle it out on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. All right, let's talk about what we got coming up this week on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We got, of course, tomorrow a special edition show that we're going to be doing with Sports Visions. Tune in tomorrow night. I don't know what time, but make sure to follow us. We'll drop a teaser on our Facebook page. On Tuesday, we got a big slate. We got Central of Carrollton and Harris County girls basketball. That's YouTube only at 6 and 7:30. We got Beulah and Glenwood. It'll be on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Facebook page, on the GSL Live broadcast page, and all these games are on our YouTube channel, but only a few are going to be on Facebook moving forward. We're not going to have every game on Facebook, just the top ones of the night. But Calvary Brookstone on Tuesday, Beulah at Glenwood, and then we got Pacelli Wrestling Senior Night. Tyler Redmond making his another debut for the 2025 edition of Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Glad that he'll be joining us. On Wednesday, we got the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show, Pacelli Coaches Show, and the Muskogee County Coaches Show. And then we're dropping a new show that's not on Georgia Alabama Sports Live, but it's something me and Rich are doing. And I know you see us all the time doing GIAA stuff. We're dropping a new show called Inside the GIAA at 8 p.m. on GIAA Facebook page, GIAA YouTube channel, and the GIAA.TV website every single Wednesday night throughout the rest of the basketball season. And we'll pick up midway through the baseball season. We're going to do that throughout the year, starting next year into football. We're glad to add this new show. Richard, I know you're excited about it. So we got all that happening on Wednesday night. It's like, because there's not a lot of live games. So we said, let's put some live shows, still give you content. Thursday, we got Bevel State men's CVCC only at 5:30, and then Chambers at Calvary. Richard, you'll be there for that at 6 and 7:30. And then it's part of rivalry week. We got Lee Scott at Glenwood, 6 and 7:30. Brookstone and Pacelli, the rivalry, at 6 and 7:30. And then Sumter County Carver, 6 and 7:30. That is Friday night. You talk about an incredible high school slate. My goodness, Rich. That is going to be one heck of a night on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. And then on Saturday, a part of rivalry weekend, we are excited to bring you Harris County, Manchester, and then Marion County, Chattahoochee County. So 5 elite rivalry basketball games, and you're going to get all of it on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. So busy week of basketball and wrestling, and you're only going to find it here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Oh, I cannot wait. Especially, the fact that we called Marion County and Chattahoochee County in the border wars. I'm excited because this rivalry really means a lot to the community of Casita and Buena Vista. And then, of course, we saw that rivalry with Harris County, Manchester in football. Remember, Manchester went to the state championship last year for boys, lost to Green Forest. Coach DeMonta Prather, who's the football coach, is also the basketball coach. Manchester is just fantastic, taking on Harris County. That rivalry renewed. I mean, what can you say about Brookstone and Pacelli? It seems like they meet in the postseason in the GIAA every year, and we've been there for just about every single one of them the last 2 years. And then Glenwood Lee Scott. We single-handedly called 5 games last year on the girls' side because they played in the Border Wars finals. They played 2 times in the regular season, once in the area championship, and then in the AISA championship. So 5 times they played. And then Glenwood and Lee Scott played, I believe, 4 times.
Yeah, so cannot wait for that. And sign me up for all those games. We got Mike Peacock, we got Richard, we got Rick Beach, we got Thrift Barringer, and we got Noah Shelton. That is 5 elite broadcasters all going to be on there. And then we're adding Tyler Redmond too. 6 guys calling all these different events all week long. Cannot wait for that, Rich.
I do want to say something. Tyler Redmond is making his debut for wrestling, but last year he helped you call baseball.
Yeah, but I said 2025, Rich.
Oh, yeah, I know.
2025. Yep, I remember that. He did call the Glenwood state championship game. So we're excited about that. We hope everyone is staying safe out there with the weather way it's been. I'm glad that I didn't hear anything that was of catastrophe. word has it, and this has been out, and now it has become news, that Calvary Christian will not have school tomorrow due to an online threat. But they are doing everything they need to investigative-wise. They're going to have police presence there, and they're going to make sure everything's safe before they return. They said they are thankful in their investigation that it was no Calvary student that was involved with this online threat that happened. And we hope our prayers are out there. This kind of stuff is scary. It's not the first time it's happened. It's not going to be the last, but I can't stand this type of stuff. I wish we could move past this as a society, but I think Calvary did everything they needed to do, and we hope everyone is safe, and we can't wait for Tuesday. Everybody get back in school, and then we got a game against Brookstone and Calvary on Tuesday night. We'll keep you up-to-date information. If that game gets changed to another day, we'll let you know. But as of now, we want to say thank you to everyone that's out there. Make sure everyone's safe. And we got some big news dropping this week, too. We're not only partnering with Only Colga, we're about to partner with another site as well to help bring you sports around the Tri-City area, Richard. I'm looking forward to being able to drop that. That is going to be great. So, again, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We want you there. We want the engagement. Leave us a comment. Let us know you're watching. We'll engage with you. We like the comments. We like the back and forth banner. We want all that. Richard, you got any other final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yes. Dwight Jones retired. The Pacelli
Yes. I'm
football
glad you
coach.
did that, Rich. Yeah, so that's a big deal, Rich. This is a 40-year veteran that's coached at many different schools like Harris County, Russell County, Hardaway, now Pacelli. He's won state championships. He's made Final Fours. This guy sent so many guys to the next level. Incredible coach. It's a legend. He's going to be missed dearly. But now there's a huge opening for a big-time job. And I'm wondering, I can think of a few names that would be really good if they take over. But filling in the shoes of a legend like Dwight Jones, and he should be and will be a Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Famer eventually. But, man, what an incredible job. Revitalizing that Pacelli football program that was not a good program before he got there. To turn them into a perennial not only winner, but champion, and a team that was vying for state championship year in and year out. Very impressive. Legendary coach. I'll say that every day I see him. An even better person. I saw Roger Beck, the Beck Center, a sponsor of ours, Richard. He says that he wrote handwritten letters to each of his players every week. That's a coach that's dedicated and genuinely loves his guys. That's what it's about at this level. That's why he's a Hall of Famer. More than just winning the state championships and the wins. It's how he is as a person and how he developed young men. He can't get any better, and he will be missed dearly. And those are some huge shoes to fill for the Vikings.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that, Pacelli's been in good hands with their athletic director, Calvin Thomas. Just a class act. Just that dominant run in 2022 when Pacelli won the state championship, to have Cam Ellis get that fourth down conversion in overtime against Brookstone, and then shutting out Stratford Academy. And then just all the injuries they had to face this year, but they were able to make the playoffs, getting the big win in the first round. And Dwight Jones is definitely one of the best, and he's had a long career, and he's definitely going to be missed. And I agree, definitely a Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Famer.
And also, we do not have any updated information on Smith Station, who they're getting their new head coach. That's still an opening right now. They're still looking and searching right now. I know we have people comment. Do we know? We do not know as of yet. And when we do, you'll be the first to find out, and we'll discuss it and even have the guy on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show. Next time we go live, we'll be on Wednesday as a show. We got the Silly County Coach Show, Pacelli Coaches Show. You got the Sports Beat. So Sports Beat starts it off. Then that transition into the Georgia Alabama, the Scobie County Coaches Show, into the Pacelli Coaches Show, to the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show. We're going to go a little bit earlier this time. We're going to go about 7 o'clock this Wednesday. I think moving forward on Wednesdays, we're going to go live about 7:30. So make sure to tune in, and we'll have unsolicited hot take on there as well. And then we'll talk about everything else that's happening in our area. Thank y'all so much for watching, and maybe we'll even have a special guest. We got DJ tomorrow. Maybe we even get a Jack Patterson on too, maybe a Tony Reese, a part of the special edition show we'll be doing tomorrow night here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live and Sports Vision. From Thrift Barringer, I'm not Richard, but from Richard Holdridge, I'm Thrift Barringer. I guess we could be the same. We're about as busy as always. Thank y'all so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Good night, everyone.
Thank you for watching the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Show presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. You're ready to smile.